Hello, my name is Elizabeth Brown, and I'm an English instructor and tutor at Goodwin University. And I'm going to be sharing with you a PowerPoint on some tips and strategies for taking the English portion of the TEAS test. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is prepare for the, oh, actually, I'm a little bit ahead. Let me go back. Sorry about that. This is just an introduction. So welcome to the TEAS workshop number 1. And hopefully this was also prepared by Patricia Alber. She's a tutor at Goodwin University as well. But I'm actually redoing the workshop because the first one didn't come out properly, but she did contribute to this PowerPoint. Just wanted to make you aware of that. So this is the first one, and we're trying to get some input. We'll provide our emails at the end of this. And so if you could get back to us and let us know if there's something in here you'd like to see that isn't here. So we did our best to make it as comprehensive as possible. So the first thing you want to do is prepare just reflecting on previous tests that you've taken in the past and what helped you. Everybody is different and individual and unique in the way that they prepare for a test. So try to think of one that you took where you were successful. What was it that you did, or what was an obstacle for you to overcome? So try to think about past experiences. Maybe you've taken some tests similar to the TEAS, or you've even taken the practice test. And the times that you were successful, try to think about those and, do what works for you. So think about your weaknesses and strengths. After you take the TEAS practice tests, you want to go through and look to see what areas you might need to improve. When I work with students, they'll usually have some areas. So it might be more of the reading comprehensive passages that they're struggling with. They keep scoring lower in that. So that's really a matter of practice and looking at the way the questions are worded, because sometimes it's very tricky. So the more familiarity you have with the actual test and taking the practice test, say for the reading comprehension, the better at it you'll get. With the grammar and vocabulary, that's pretty much like a refresher course. I mean, many of us have not taken a grammar class since, maybe 4th or 5th grade, learning our parts of speech, and then in high school. And some people have not had any formal grammar lessons in grammar. So it's really important to figure out what your weak areas are, whether it's punctuation or semicolons or, maybe adjectives or adverbs, and you just need to go back and review those particular areas and then retake the test after you've revisited those particulars. And then the last thing is you just want to make sure you understand, which I mentioned before, that this is organic, so we can alter it and provide to you whatever you need, whatever you think would be more helpful for you. So we just want you to be thinking about that as we go along here. You can even take notes. So this is prepping after. So it's just sort of a cycle of what you'll do. So it's just like a checklist. You're going to take the practice test. We'll be providing links on here to, there's a number of websites that have practice tests. There's also the Hoffman Library here on Goodwin, and so there's some links for you. You simply take the practice test, review the results, identify your weak areas, as I said, whatever it might be, and then really hone in on those weak areas and improve, and then go back to step 1, so take the practice test again. So for the reading section of the TEAS test, you're going to need to determine the author's purpose. And each passage that you read, there'll be some tactic, something that the author is trying to do. It might be persuasion. So if you're asked what the author's intent is, you're going to need to know what the passage is about. And excuse me for a minute. All right, so for example, if it's to persuade, then these are some of the cues for you to pick up on. And then you will find that it usually has a controversial topic, okay? There's an argument that the author's making, and they're very committed to that particular argument, and they're taking one side. There's more argument in this particular piece, so that would be, the author's intent would be to persuade, okay? And I gave you an example, the need for more security in colleges is an example, okay? Another passage might be just informing or explaining. It's just informational. There isn't, it's more neutral, so the author isn't taking one particular side over another, just providing both sides in a very unbiased sort of way. And an example would be the rise of poverty in cities post-war. So that would be just informational, yeah. Another idea would be, for a purpose for the author, would be more of a description piece. So the passage that you read, if it's descriptive, you're going to find a lot of figurative kind of language, imagery. It can be creative nonfiction. You'll see it might look more like a memoir, more of a personal kind of reflection piece. And an example I give you is my train ride with Nana to Palm Island. Okay, so that obviously is not going to be, the author's intent is not to persuade, although there is a little persuasion in there, but maybe to go to Palm Island. But it's more or less a descriptive kind of a piece. A comparison piece is going to be comparing two particulars. So Facebook versus Snapchat is the example. Snapchat is the example that I gave you. You might have to distinguish and identify the topic. Let me move this out of the way. Or theme. Okay, you'll be asked to identify the topic or theme, and that can be a little tricky sometimes. So the topic, and I just gave you some examples. A topic could be love, trust, betrayal, and the theme is more universal. A universal truth that's like the overarching idea of a thing. It's not as specific, it's overarching, so it's bigger, and there can be more than one theme running through a particular passage or a piece. Once trust is broken, it's difficult, if not possible, to earn back. So that's just an example of a thematic statement there. You might have to draw conclusions based on the reading. I shouldn't say you might have. These are actual examples of things that you will have to do and identify in the when you take the TEAS test. So you'll have to determine what's implied and what's inferred. So that's again, it's very subtle distinction between the two. But when you're implying when you're determining what's implied, I just gave you some quick definitions, drawing conclusions that are not expressly stated. So you would be looking at clues, word choice, description in the text versus what's inferred. You're drawing conclusions based on actual evidence that's in the text. So that's the difference. When you're inferring something, you're drawing a conclusion, but it's not like a gut instinct. You're drawing conclusions based on the facts in the text. Okay. And then identifying types of writing genres. So, and again, this is just kind of going back to something that you learned in school and revisiting it. So there's expository, narrative, persuasive, descriptive, and analytical. You'll have to apply information from tables and charts to compare data, evaluate sources, differentiate between facts and opinions, and identify best media sources. That's just some other stuff that you'll need to do. Now, this is for the writing portion, how you might prepare for the writing portion. The writing portion is 28 minutes, and you have to respond to 28 questions. That's 1 minute per question. 4 of these will be unscored. So just to let you know, I mean, do your best on all of it, but conventions of standard English, which includes spelling, grammar, punctuation, knowledge of language, and this is broken up. So there'll be 9 of those, and then 9 in knowledge of language, how it functions, and the vocabulary acquisition, 6 of those, connotative and denotative meaning. And then here's some tips to understand the question. You may be asked to do the following after reading a sentence or short passage. Identify an element of the sentence, type, fragment, parts of speech. So, or complete the sentence correctly, fix an error. The question will specify what task you are to perform. So it's kind of, they'll leave off part of a sentence and you'll have some choices of what would fit best at the end of the sentence. And so you'll have to choose one, or there'll be sentence that is not written correctly. And so you have to identify the sentence, the rewrite of the sentence where it is written correctly. You'll be given a choice. Or you might have to identify the sentence that's expressed the best way. That's another one of the questions you'll be asked. You'll have to, so analyze the question. So when you look at the question, you want to make sure you're understanding it properly, because it can be very tricky. So read the question carefully, not just once, but just you want to read it a few times. Hone in on the verbiage. What exactly is being asked of you in the question? Look for keywords, but also be alert to tricky devices. So for instance, if they're saying, which sentence is not written correctly? So you know, something like that. You want to make sure that you're picking out the one that's not written correctly versus the others that are. Identify the issue. So you'll have to know the rules of grammar, spelling of words, the style, the diction chosen to create a particular tone, context clues, the preceding and succeeding sentences, word choice, all the things that you look for to try to identify the meaning of the word, and punctuation, which are, you know, periods, semicolons, commas, dashes, etc. You want to make a selection. So make a prediction, evaluate your prediction based on the choices available, and then using deductive reasoning, eliminate the choices you know will not work. So that always is very effective in when you have multiple choice. You can just rule out immediately the ones you know that are not right, and then and sometimes you're going to get stuck between two. So try to don't get stuck on it for too long. Just I would choose the best one. How to study and prepare for the exam. The best practice is to take, as I said, to take the practice tests on a regular basis prior to the exam. Take them as many times as you can until you're feeling comfortable with it. And study the areas that you're weak in. So if it's adverbs or adjectives or punctuation or types of sentences, you know, make sure you just go review what you need to and then retake the test again. There's no point in retaking the test if you aren't, you know, putting the work in and making sure that you're brushing up on the areas that you don't know or you don't remember or you're weak in. And here's some resources for you. Goodwin has excellent practice tests online through the library website, and I know some students are using that. And here's just some steps to get to it. It's pretty simple to find. And here's more links to more practice tests. There's quite a few here. So for the next workshop, based on your input, we'll try to tailor the next workshop to meet your particular needs. Maybe you want to hear from someone who's actually taken the test. I have not taken the TEAS test, but we could get a hold of somebody, and I think that might be effective to have someone who's actually taken the test could give you some wise advice and what worked for them. So here's our email addresses. This is mine, that's Pat's. And that's about it. So hopefully this was helpful for you. And again, if you have any questions or you are hoping next time we can include some information that we didn't include in this particular workshop, then feel free to email either one of us, Pat or me. And that's it. Take care and see you next time.